Hey, welcome back to the Slay the Spire 2 at home video series, where unfortunately today we're not going to be implementing a tiny piece of Slay the Spire 2, right? That's because new information has come to light about how card generation works, particularly for the lead paperweight case and also just the rare offset in general. And so we need to change some of what we did in episode 14, right? So our understanding of how well the specific values used in card generation has changed from when we made that episode, right? Because back then, Slay the Spire 2 was new; it was still being discussed, and so there was some stuff that still we didn't know with great a degree of confidence as we do now, right? So I've been spending a lot of time looking up a lot of this information, like all over the internet, right? But basically, the TLDR is that the initial rare offset chance, right, in Slay the Spire 2, it is -5%, like the original Slay the Spire. So that's when, so depending on your ascension level, right, the normal rare chance will be 3% or 1.5%, but it starts with a -5% offset. So it's not zero like I thought it was in Slay the Spire 2, right? And the reason lead paperweight can give rares is for a different reason, right? So the rare offset, it did turn out to be, -5%, just like the original Slay the Spire, right? So the discussions people were having about it possibly being zero, that didn't turn out to be correct, as, based on our updated understanding now, where, people seem the information seems to be out there more. People have a higher degree of confidence in it, and so the reason lead paperweight can give rares, right? It just ignores a rare offset, like so the because I guess a lot of the things when you get card rewards that don't come from combats, they just ignore the rare offset. Presumably the Kaleidoscope in the beta branch and then the Lost Coffer card reward, they also work the same way, and that's why they can give rares, right? Yeah, and then there's just some information out there about some events in general, right? So it seems like a lot of the card rewards from events, they don't use the rare offset or don't increment the rare offset, right? And some of the events, well, this was also true in the original Slay the Spire. Some events didn't use weighted rarities, right? Like the library, for example, the original Slay the Spire. No, that one did. There was like a colorless event in the original Slay the Spire that didn't use the rated rarities, but there's also some of that in Slay the Spire too. So basically, though, yeah, so we need to change, fix our project to which isn't a very interesting exercise from a technical perspective, but we are interested in on in this video series and also about how Slay the Spire 2 works specifically, right? So we will want to change our implementation to match what is actually in Slay the Spire 2, right? So yeah, let's just get started on that. And also, while we're doing that, we want to clean up our code, right? And our card generation API is honestly like a complete mess, right? And so I did a little bit of an audit, right, about it and like what we have, what we need to plan for the future, right? And so we'll probably need to add some comments, clean it up a bit. But we also just need to change it, right, to match our current understanding. So first, let's revert the changes to the rare offset we made back in episode 14. So it does turn out that it is -5%, right? And then lead paperweight, it doesn't use the rare offset, it just ignores it. So yeah, let's do that, right? So, okay, so in the run stats class, right, so when we're declaring the rare offset, right, it's not going to be 0, it'll be -5, right? So apparently in both original Slay the Spire and STS2. So maybe I should fix the capitalization of this. Joel STS and STS2 have the same like initial rare offset, right? Okay, so that's fixed. We reverted the current. Oh, this is just because okay. We don't need this. Maybe I'll just open a scene to prevent that stupid error. Right. That's kind of dumb. I don't know why it shows that error message when I'm just editing a script that extends resource and I don't have a scene open. Stupid Godot editor. All right, but in any case, like let's ignore the stupid yeah, Godot editor, and then let's go back to what we were doing. So we need to change our spaghetti code. So before we didn't even have a constant. We were just like hard coding it, to negative 5.0 and 0.0 everywhere we had, right? So let's add that. Yeah. So we add this constant. I'll just put it up here, I guess. Offset. So, and then I guess I'll just copy paste that comment, right? So we have here. And so here we'll change this so to not do that. So that way, if we need to change this in the future again, it'll be faster, right? And then the other places where we use it, right, we need to also, use that. And maybe even in our commented out original Slay the Spire code, right? So let's do that. So go to global.card rewards, right? What do we call the function? Roll card rewards. Okay, so let's go to that function and stop with the spaghetti code, and then we'll actually do it properly with the constant, right? Let me just search for that function. Okay, this is the commented out Slay the Spire one. This is okay, so we'll do this here, right? So it's not going to be 0 anymore. It'll be global dot. Well, no, it'll be just one stats dot initial rare offset, right? Like that. And then let's also put that in our commented out original Slay the Spire code in case we ever want to use that again, right? Okay, so that's for the original Slay the Spire version. Because one thing that was accurate about what we said in episode 14 of this video series, right, is that in Slay the Spire 2, the rare offset does change when you roll an uncommon, unlike in the original Slay the Spire, right? That part's still accurate. And then the part about when you have a negative rare chance overall due to your rare offset, the uncommon chance does decrease also in Slay the Spire 2, right? Just like in the original Slay the Spire. So I'll put a comment here, both STS and STS2, right? Okay, so let's go fix the spaghetti code in the last part, right? So global.roll cards with rarity, so we go fix that, right? Whoops, let me just, okay. So this will be in the, so we'll so, no, we don't actually need it there, right? Yeah, I guess we don't actually need this. Okay, so this is a function that I used to use for generating boss card rewards, like or from the original Slay the Spire before I started making these YouTube videos. And right now I'm not actually doing that, right? So this function is only being used by the original Slay the Spire now. Okay, so we don't need that. So let's just get rid of this actually. Okay. I can comment it out also in case that ever changes again. So this is deprecated. We don't use this function for boss card rewards anymore, right? Or at least that's for now. Okay, I'll just put that there. And then for now, like this doesn't. This when you get this, well, I mean for the now options that we call this function for, like those don't affect the rare from the rare offset from the original Slay the Spire now, right? At least I don't think they do. But right now we're not worried about original Slay the Spire anyways, so yeah, I'll just take that out for now. Okay, so now we need to change the roll colorless card rewards function, so that we're only using for lead paperweight to ignore the rare offset, right? So right now we've got the stuff about the rare offset in there. We need to remove that stuff. So apparently that's not how it works in Slay the Spire 2. Yeah, so we're not going to do. Okay, so we still need to use the base chances, right? The for the card rarity, so it's 3% for rare. Well, in Ascension 7, it's 1.5% for rare, but we're not worried about higher Ascension yet. So we need to make a version of this function, or just actually add a parameter so that it just has like ignore rare offset, right? And that can be a optional parameter so that we don't have to change everywhere we called it, right? And then we just kind of change things in place, and then it'll be like false by default, right? So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we have an ignore rare offset. Oops. Ignore rare offset bool here, right? And then the default value can be false, right? Yeah. And then here, when we're adjusting the rare offset, we check to make sure that that's actually true, right? So yeah, and not ignore. So as long as we're not ignoring rare offset, right, we're doing this thing. Okay, so that should change that, right? And then in the function that the lead paperweight calls, we'll pass in the true to ignore the rare offset, right? Yeah. So that should fix that there. And then we also need to not increment the rare offset for lead paperweight, right? So so that's this stuff here, right? So let's not do this. So this is being removed. Yeah, so let's just mark that as deprecated also. So our current understanding is that lead paperweight, as well as Lost Coffer and Kaleidoscope, right, do not use or increment, reset, rare offset, right? Okay. So it'll still do the rest of the stuff, but so that should change that, right? Okay, so that's basically what we needed to change, right? To change what we did in our previous lead paperweight episode, right? Episode 14, to match our current understanding of how things actually work in Slay the Spire 2. But now I also want to clean up a lot of the card generation API because it's just a huge mess, right? So right now I've got inconsistent. This is inconsistent with like another function, right? So I've got, so when I'm saying how many cards I want to generate, it's called how many here, and it's called like num card somewhere else, and then the parameters are in different order, and it's just kind of a mess, right? So let's go change the lead paperweight function to match the other one, right? So I think num cards first, and then it called num cards and how many. That'll be cleaner, right? So it'll just be more consistent. So let's switch that. So this will be num cards int first, right? And then we do this, right? And then we need to change the color. So that's in the lead paperweight, right? So to reverse the order of these parameters right here. So it'll just be like this. Yeah, so right now that's the only place we're changing that, right? So okay, so we check that box. Yeah, okay, that was just while we were typing. Okay, so that's fine. So all right, so we did that, and then okay, so we did that, and then this is just some notes. Okay, so the card generation API, that's kind of a mess right now. Okay, so I should probably put some notes for the future plotting that we need to do, right? So right now we don't have a roll card rewards function that ignores rare offset similar to the roll. So we don't have something like that for the draftable cards, right? In terms of like it ignores the rare offset and it uses the base card, card reward rarity, right? So we can consider collapsing the functions and making colorless bool a parameter. That might be messy, but it might be worth considering. So basically right now, we only had this one, right? So, and then, so I guess this can be to do like so this function right now can be used for the other colorless card things. So this will be the brain freeze, and then for example, the brain freeze or the endless conveyor, right? Yeah. But right now, if we need to do something like, let's see, what events need the random draftable cards? So Brain Leech and the Trial. Okay, so Brain Leech, yeah, so Brain Leech, so the nondescript version of the Trial. All right. So maybe that'll be a note, right? Like to do, have a version for draftable cards, right? Or maybe combine the functions and have colorless be a parameter, right? And that would be for the trial nondescript version. And then that'll also be the, what was it called? Brain Leech. Okay, so the choose one for a 1 or 5 option, right? Okay. Brain Leech. Wait. Oh, that's this right here, and not Brain Freeze, right? Yeah. So yeah, this is actually like. Oh no, the Brain Leech. This is for the random colorless option also, right? So Brain Leech event. Okay, so it can do a colorless card or a 1 of 5 random draftable. Okay. So colorless option, right? Brain Leech 1 of 5 draftable option, right? And then maybe we could consider renaming this to having some ignore rare offset in the name. Yeah, let's do that. So roll colorless card rewards, ignore rare offset, right? And then so in the lead paperweight, we'll change that also to that, right? Okay, so that at least we make a note of that, right? And then we'll also need a version of roll draftable cards with type that doesn't use rare offset. Okay, so right now we're just hard coding it to shop, right? So that's another thing that we'll eventually have to change. So right now only the shop uses this, right? So I did check that. So right now we are only using this, calling this from the shop, right? So that's the for the 2 attack, 2 skills, 1 power, that stuff, right? Yeah. 2 attacks, 2 skills, 1 power. So to do, like, we need to get rid of the, well, because right now, like, it calls roll random card with the reward tiers at the shop, right? So I guess, yeah, remove hard-coded roll random card with reward tier dot shop, right? So it can be used for other things, right? So and then those things would be like, what things need that? So that'll be okay. So infested automaton, right? So for infested automaton, right? So that's the thing where you get a random power. Is that for the random, yeah, the random power option, right? So not the 0 cost option, right? And then, yeah, at least for that event. Maybe there's others too. I'd have to check them all. And then maybe we could also change it to emphasize the ignore rare offset. We could consider collapsing it with the roll colorless card reward. Okay, so that's be something we can consider, I guess. It might be a little bit messy, so we don't have to do that right now. That's something that maybe we can. Okay, so to do, consider collapsing with, you know, this function with colorless bool as a parameter, right? That might not be a bad idea, just to, you know, But for now, okay, so let's change this name to ignore rare offset, right? This is just a, so now we need to change that everywhere we call this to begin with, right? So, and that's basically here in the shop, like I was saying, right? So when we were generating our shop cards, we need to refactor that. So that's a little more descriptive now, right? Well, no, these don't ignore the rare offset. They still use the rare offset. They just don't set the increment. I mean, they don't increment, right? So it's not completely ignored. That's not good. We shouldn't call it that. So yeah, they're not ignoring the rare offset. Because they're doing this roll random card and then... yeah, shop cards, they use the rare offset. They just don't increment it afterwards, right? So... what do I want to call this then? Like don't increment, like... What's a good descriptive name? Read-only rare offset, or... I should have thought of this name before I started recording this, right? Oh, this will be... Yeah, because it's not ignoring the rare offset. It's... Yeah, so actually we can't use that for infested automaton, right? Because that ignores the rare offset. Yeah, so this is actually pretty shop specific, huh? So we might not need to actually change this if the shop is the only thing that works that way, right? Yeah, why did I think I needed to make a version of... Yeah, because roll draftable cards with type does use rare offset, right? Like that. Oh, so I needed a version that doesn't. Okay, so this one does. It's just that... Yeah, so basically a version of the colorless one that I just had before, right? So that's just this. Well, no, with the type though. Okay, so this one doesn't have specify the type. Okay, so I guess what we're really... Okay, so this okay, I should still give it a name that says it doesn't set the rare offset though, right? But we need a version that just doesn't use the rare offset at all. Okay. So we might not need to remove the hard-coded with shop then. So to do make a version of this that ignores rare offset for the infested automaton. And so it's that thing that would be okay. So this wouldn't need to be collapsed with the other one, right? Yeah, because basically we have one with type and one that doesn't have the type, right? Yeah, so we already put a note here that we need a version of this for the draftable cards, and that would be okay. But infested automaton, it needs a type, right? Because you're getting a power specifically. But when we're using base rarity rates, right? Yeah, so that's something that we need to consider, I guess. And so there might be other things besides infested automaton. I mean, I just need to go through the events, but you know, one thing at a time. So this thing though, yeah, this, I mean, do we just say for shop or don't adjust rare offset, or what do we want to call this function? I guess we call it, we just put underscore preserve rare offset, right? So we're reading it, but we're not adjusting it, right? Yeah, let's call it that. So then in the shop, we call that instead. Okay, let's do it that way. Name it that rather. Okay. So we've got that. Okay, and those things were just when I was typing before. Okay, so that should be fine. So this one I'm just considering. All right, consider making a version of this that ignore. Okay. Okay, so we made a note of that, right? Maybe consider collapsing. No, but this is like, so no, we're not doing this, right? Because the key thing about this function is a type, is that it takes the card type. Okay. And then in the end, if we ever get to the end, we can consider just getting rid of these functions if they're only called in one place, right? And do we ever need it to that it's not hard coded to shop? So this thing would be, okay, so this would be for this, right? For the shop, that's a different rare set of base rarities. So is there ever a situation where we need to roll cards don't affect the rare? Well, we use the rare offset, don't adjust it outside of the shop situation, I guess. I don't think we do, right? So maybe this would be something shop specific. I mean, so maybe we could even consider renaming this to something shop specific, right? Renaming this function, do something shop specific. Consider removing the roll rent hard-coded roll random card call with reward tier.shop if it turns out we want to use the rare offset outside of a shop situation, but not increment or reset the rare offset, right? I don't know, but maybe we never need to do this though. All right, so that's something to keep in mind though, I guess, as we go along. And then so okay, so this doesn't actually ignore rare offset; it actually just preserves offset. So is that, yeah, we decided that should be called like preserve rare offset, right? Okay. Okay, and then so we just need to, yeah, because we've got so our card generation API is such a mess that I just need to document this better, right? Just list everything down, like the notes, comment things better. So yeah, I'll just start cleaning things up a little bit here and then add some comments, right? So, okay, so this is only used for the toxic egg, right? For right now, this check for free upgrade. Okay, so the description of this function though is like this is called pretty much everywhere a card is generated and you might have an egg silver crucible, right? So this is, yeah. So this function is called pretty much everywhere a card and you might have an egg. Okay, and then so to do like molten egg, right? To do frozen egg. Well, let's put them in alphabetical order. Then to do silver crucible, right? And then another note is that silver crucible in beta branch, like I heard that it doesn't affect event cards anymore, right? I also heard silver crucible in beta branch no longer affects event cards. Yeah. Okay, so that's something that we can keep in mind. So at least we have this documented a little bit better. Okay, and this roll draftable cards with preserve with type preserve rare offset. So that's our shop thing, right? So it calls roll, so it uses rare offset but does not increment reset it. So roll random card. Well, the real roll random card is the thing that's actually is the helper function that's actually using the rare offset and then preserving it, right? Not adjusting it. Yeah. So I'll put a comment there, I guess. So I guess this is like can be in the function description, right? So it says calls the roll random card helper function, which uses the rare offset but doesn't increment or reset it, right? So another thing that this could be used for is like the courier. So let's, yeah. The courier, right? So that case is another situation where we generate a shop card that, because right now I don't think we haven't added the courier yet to this project. Yeah, because this helper function is a thing that actually sets up the base rarity weights and then doesn't increment the card, right? Okay, but yeah, okay. So this is actually more like preserve rare offset, I guess, and not ignore. And then we can consider collapsing. Well, no, the roll colorless card rewards function doesn't specify type, right? So maybe don't collapse for now. Okay, so roll random card. So this is our helper function, which is over here, right? That's another thing from the shop. And maybe I should change the order of this so it's easier to find, right? So this should probably be up here, right? Just to make the helper function right next to the function that uses it the most, right? Okay, so let's do that. So roll random card. This isn't called anywhere else, right? Oh no, it's also used by the arcane scroll. Okay. No, wait. Oh no, I was looking at the wrong thing. That's roll random card with rarity. Okay. So yeah, this function is only. So this is commented out. So I used to have this stuff in the shop, but I refactored it. Okay, so that's. Yeah, so right now this is. Okay, so roll random card. Yeah, okay, so this is just a helper function for roll draftable cards with type preserve rare offset, right? For the shop case, right? For the shop. See above. All right. So it uses the rare offset, but does not increment or reset it, right? All right, so let's do that. Yeah, so maybe this thing should be here instead, but nah, but this is kind of the start of the workflow, right? We're calling it from the shop. So I think it is good to have the description there, right? And not in the helper. Okay, that should be fine. And then this call setup rare chances and checks for free upgrade also. Okay, but yeah, that's kind of in general, right? Okay, then that should be okay. Then roll colorless card with rarity. Okay, so this is currently used by the shop. Currently only used by the shop, right, for the uncommon colorless, rare colorless card, right, in the shop. So nothing else uses that, at least in this project. Okay, and then roll card rewards. And then we've got the original Slay the Spire version here, right? But okay, but let's reveal this one. So this is Slay the Spire 2, right? So this is card reward from normal, elite, boss combats, right? Uses rare offset, increments, and resets rare offset. Okay, so uses rare offset, increments, and resets rare offset, right? So depending on if we got common, uncommon, or rare, cost check for free upgrade. So okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory, right? And then okay, so right now run stats.card rewards is kind of hard coded there, but that should be okay because we don't have busted crown or the question card in Slay the Spire 2, right? So that's something that was more in original Slay the Spire. I think I did make a note of that somewhere. Let's see. Busted crown. So did I? No, broken crown was it called? Oh, broken. Was it called broken crown or busted crown? Maybe it was called broken crown. Okay. So right now we do have a function, right? So but that I mean, so let's get rid of this to do, right? So we have a function that generates 3 cards, right? That's the roll card reward. So I haven't updated this comment in a while. So we have roll card. Let's see. So let's move this back to over here, right? So our Slay the Spire 1 section. Original Slay the Spire section 1, okay. And then we make a note that, you know, question card and broken crown aren't in Slay the Spire 2. So we're not worried about those anymore. Alright, so, okay, so this is pretty self-explanatory. Slay the Spire 2, and so this is just hard-coded to base card rewards. Right, this is 3, okay. And maybe at some point we might need a version of this that rules more than 3 cards or less than 3. Is that? But for those events like Room Full of Cheese, those don't use the base card rarity rates. That just takes random card, right? And then we might be calling different functions in this, which we're using for normal boss and rare combats here. Okay, let's leave that for now. So back to our notes, right? And then we've got rule colorless card rewards currently only called by Lead Paperweight, but can be used by Brain Leech and Endless Conveyor in the future. Okay, so we made notes of that. Endless Conveyor, that's only for a particular option, right? Yeah, that's only for one particular dish from the belt. Okay. For the colorless card. edition particular, right? Okay. Maybe consider, okay, so we did that, right? We added that. So to ignore rare offset, okay. So lead paperweight is ignoring the rare offset, and then eventually we'll have something like Lost Coffer, and but right now we haven't actually added Lost Coffer to this project yet, so that should be fine. Okay, so right now, okay, the next function, I guess we should comment. Oh. So I say, do we need a function that generates X cards out of an available card? Should these clean and have rare? Well, these are some really old notes of when for when I made a long time ago. So these are really old notes. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what I was talking about. Like, it's been so long. Like, really old notes. Might need to really think to remember what I was thinking when I wrote these notes, right? All right. So could this have a card? Yeah, so this is basically just API questions, right? Basically API question. Okay, so that's fine. We can just deal with that as we go along. Alright, so roll random card with rarity. So right now I'm calling this from the Arcane Scroll in Slay the Spire 2 and also the original Slay the Spire random rare option, right? Okay. So there is no random rare colorless card in Niao, right? It's only rare. It's only rare draftable cards in the original Slay the Spire from Niao. Yeah, so Arcane Scroll and then that old original Slay the Spire and Niao option are basically the same thing. By Arcane Scroll and Slay the Spire 2. And then for the Niao original was TS Niao. Random rare draftable card. So that's basically the same thing as STS2 Arcane Scroll, right? Okay. And then we have this rule card rewards with rarity. So this is the original Slay the Spire logic that I had, right, with the... Okay, but... So this, I used to be using this for the boss card rewards, but I stopped doing that after a while, and I just collapsed it into the roll random card, right? No, into the roll card rewards function. Okay. That's been collapsed into the roll card rewards function, right? All right, so... And so this is the same as the original Slay the Spire logic now, right? I mean, if now that I'm saying that the rare offset is, you know... Oh yeah, I should get rid of that spaghetti code in case I ever reactivate that also, right? So that should be run stats.initial rare offset. Okay. Yeah. But that'll be the same now because I'm using a constant and not having spaghetti code, right? So maybe I can just get rid of this. So this is the same thing, right? I just changed the spaghetti code, like, which should be a constant when I was thinking that the rare offset in Slay the Spire 2 was 0, right? Initially. But that's not my current understanding anymore. And I think it's pretty clear now that the community of Slay the Spire 2 has figured out that it's, you know, negative 5%, just like the original Slay the Spire. Yeah, so, okay, I don't need this. Well, in the original Slay the Spire, we have Prismatic Shard, but there's Prismatic Gem in Slay the Spire 2, right? That's fine. Flag that... So right now we already added the flag for colorless cards, right? Okay. Alright, so let's get rid of that comment. And then maybe we can do the same thing up here for this roll card rewards. Because we're using this constant, right? I mean, if that's the only difference between Slay the Spire. Yeah, I don't think I need these comments. So yeah, let's just clean this up. Although in original Slay the Spire, there were extra cases, I guess. So maybe I need to check if I'm calling this from the original. Oh yeah, no, just. Oh, okay. So this is also being used by the original Niao card reward, right? For the obtain a card from the Niao. So set also being used by original STS Niao card reward option, right? Okay, so that's fine. That can keep continuing to use that. So I guess I'll put a note like Slay the Spire. You know, card reward option is also calling this. All right. Where should I put this? I'll just put that right there, I guess. That's the same thing as, okay. So now I changed it to also be from the boss battle, right? So yeah, let's get rid of that. Choose a card to obtain, yeah. So what's... And then, okay, so I need to put a to-do, I guess. All right. To-do... prismatic gem case, right? So we'll need some sort of way to dynamically keep track of what's draftable in the case we get a prismatic gem, right? And there's also another relic in Slay the Spire 2 specifically, which can add colorless cards to the card rewards, right? So that's what was it? There's a dingy rug. Yeah, that's a shop relic. All right. And then we'll also have to deal with the orrery case eventually too. Okay. But orrery is just a normal card reward, right? So okay, I haven't added orrery. This can also be used for orrery. All right. And then what else? Dreamcatcher. Okay. I think this can also be used for... So I think Dreamcatcher, it does use a rare offset and increments a rare offset. I'm not 100% sure. I think so. I haven't added Dreamcatcher to this project yet either. Okay, so we added that planning there, right? Okay, so back to our thing. Okay, so roll card rewards. Okay. And then roll colorless card rewards. Okay, I already went through that, so I fixed that for the lead paperweight, right? It can also be used for brain leech, for endless conveyor, right? That's okay. Then we added this parameter, optional parameter, to the setup card chances, right? So we are ignore. Okay, so let's make a comment to that here. Ignore rare offset. Use base card rarity weights, right? Base rarity weight. Okay. then so I'll put a comment that says ignores rare offset, right? Yeah, doesn't use it, doesn't increment, reset it, right? And then we'll need a version for draftable cards in the future. All right, so yeah. Okay, so then roll random card. Okay. So I already made a note of that, right? The arcane scroll, then the original. Okay, so now where were we? Roll random card, roll card rewards with rarity, right? So this was, so right now this is only being used by the original Slay the Spire now because I moved the boss card stuff to the other function. Okay, so right now, so currently only being used by original CSL. Choose an uncommon colorless. Alright. And then what else? Get random available card with rarity. So this is just a general helper function that's called by. Okay, so this is helper function called by like roll random cards for shop cards after rarity weights are set. Roll card rewards for normal. Roll colorless cards for red lead paperweight. Okay, so this does not set the rare offset, right? Then roll random card with rarity for the random rare draftable card. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. So does not use do anything with rare offset. That is the responsibility of the calling function, right? So that just gets a card out of whatever's passed it. And then the transform card function. Okay, this needs more comments. Check for custom. Right now that's missing. Okay, so right now we're not transforming debuff cards properly, right? So right now we're only transforming our curses and then our colorless and our ironclad cards. Debuff cards. Just have it like that. Okay. And then while not transform card or transform card ID equals. Yeah, so we re-roll if we transform into the same card, right? So that's what this thing is for. That's pretty self-explanatory though, right? And then the card, it checks if it's colorless or ironclad, it transforms it. And then checks for, the upgrade if we've got a toxic egg or silver crucible or something. Yeah, that should be fine, right? Okay. So yeah, let's just make sure we didn't completely break everything, and then yeah, with our adjusted. So we should see fewer rares now than before because we've changed our rare offset. Why does it always start at this resolution? I don't really get that because that's not my default project setting, right? Because I don't even know why. It's kind of weird. Like the first time, you know, and then the second time it goes to the default. Like, why is that? I don't really get that. There's something weird about the Godot engine, I guess. Okay, but yeah, let's just make sure we didn't completely break everything, right? Okay, so now we're just fighting, right? And then we definitely shouldn't get a rare for our first card reward now, because now we've properly done that. Okay, so we're still generating cards, right? So at least at first glance, we didn't completely break the most basic functionality, right? And then, yeah, I'll put a description of like the sources, I guess, of the discussions that I referenced right in the description of the video also. And then shout out to Reddit user, you know, BE22010, I guess, for who says they're a modder who decompiled the code and they figured out that lead paperweight ignores the rare offset, right? Yeah, okay, but yeah, so maybe I should try to go to a shop too to make sure I didn't break the shop cards, because we did poke around in the code a bit. All right, no shop here. If I see the arcane scroll, I should retest that too. Whatever, just take the conch. There's a shop up there. That's a little bit far though, right? I'll just reset. Oh, random rare cards. Let's make sure that works. Okay, what did we get? I didn't have any UI animation. Okay, this is the feed. Okay, so we still got a random rare. That didn't completely break, right? There's no early shop. Come on, early shop. I want to see that. Oh, lead paperweight. I can test that. Okay, it still seems to work, right? Right now, my colorless card pool isn't that big, right? So we're always going to see the same cards over and over again. Yeah, what is in my colorless card pool anyway? Just to refresh my memory. Well, I'll just check here. So right now there's nothing in it besides finesse slash is the ultimate defense. Okay. Yeah, so. Oh, early shop here. Okay, let's make sure the shop doesn't completely crash. Well, it might completely crash because of I didn't add the 3 potions of each rarity, right? But at least we need to make sure it doesn't crash due to the changes to the card generation API, right, that I just did. Okay, no, we're still generating cards properly, right? We got a rare here, uncommon here, 2 attacks, 2 skills, a power, right? Yeah, okay, looks good. Okay, so that's where I wanted to be, right? So we delayed the potion content episode a bit, right? So next time we do need to get going on the fish oil and then the dynamically sized potion tooltips, right? Which we don't have. Oh yeah, I can show you what I'm talking about. So you see this potion tooltip is a really ugly one, not the good looking thing like what we're doing with the relics, right? And then the status tooltips when we're in combat, right? So we've got this ugly one that doesn't change size properly, because when I implemented the nicer tooltip, I didn't actually go and change the potion, right? So I need to do that next time also, in addition to adding another uncommon potion. Yeah, I mean that can go in the same episode, right? That shouldn't take that long. Because right now, if I roll 3 uncommon potions, right, or 3 rare potions, it's not gonna work. It's just gonna crash, right? Because I've only got 2 uncommon and 2 rare potions in the potion pool. Yeah, so I'll start fixing that next time. But for now, for this episode, I did want to update or fix or update, whatever you want to call it, the card generation for the rare offset and then the lead paperweight, based on my newly updated understanding of how it actually works in Slay the Spire 2. Okay, yeah, until next time.